How would you like to solve the issue of traffic congestion with us? So we asked the question, are transit authorities solving the wrong problems? We go out every single day, we're stuck in traffic, we shake our heads, and we always say there's got to be another way. And so we invite the discussion around really what problems are public transit agencies solving for? Are they solving the wrong problems? So first of all, we want to talk about the difference between optimizing our environment, our cityscapes around cars, or are we actually optimizing our designs around people, around the citizens? And this is a significant discussion because often and historically, public transit has all been about car and efficiencies and planning around the vehicles, the size of the vehicles, the lanes, adding more lanes, building more bridges, rather than where we are today, which is urban centers are congested. We've got all these categories called the last 5 miles, the last mile, constricted urban chokeholds. We talk about all these things, but are we really planning on the solutions that are going to help make things focused on the vehicle? Or are we actually talking about people? And so really, really important that when we take a look at redefining the future of urban mobility, that we look around issues of sustainability, scalability, flexibility, resilience. So further into this discussion is when we talk about moving cars and optimizing for cars, we are looking at lanes, bridges. Sure, the advent and sophistication of AI can make those more efficient. But when we really talk about designing for people, we're actually about their ability. We start to ask different questions. How are we getting people from point A to point B? They're not always in cars. In urban centers, they may have a multimodal or multi-layered environment where they're looking at their choices of whether they're going to walk to a destination, whether they use public or group transit systems. Are they taking something that's underground, a subway? Are they something on grade, really the maximizing terra firma? Or even the advent of flying cars or air taxis. So all of these are the choices around moving people. And as we continue the dialogue, continue to open up the areas of designing and redesigning future city development, future smart, sustainable, and smart cities, and we look at the future of urban mobility, we've got to make sure at the forefront of these discussions is a person-centric discussion, not historically to have public and transit authorities focusing on movement of cars. We actually want to focus on the movement of people. So continuing this focus is we're looking at the issue between throughput and mobility efficiency. Are we focused on a quantitative baseline, how many cars can we move or how many vehicles can we move in a quantitative sense, or are we really looking and staying focused on the people-centric discussion around moving people and products in given areas in the most effective, efficient, sustainable, scalable, resilient way? And so in this area, we really begin to separate the discussion and draw clearer lines around, are we just planning for X number of vehicles, population growth, adding another lane, changing another interchange, versus focusing on particular locations, the population, the human-centered approach, and where people are spending their time, their money, their energy to improve quality of life in a given area and focus on efficiently moving people around in those areas. And I have to, I'm excited when we talk about really micro-mobility and micro-innovations. SNAAP Transportation as one, you can see on our journey slide, the ability to move people around given areas. Urban designers talk about introducing all of the different multimodal, multi-layer options in given urban locations, and then let them sort themselves out. When something like a personal rapid transit system is introduced, that actually starts to create, pardon the expression, new lanes where you now look at different types of micromobility, scooters, the new electric rickshaws, certainly subways or the boring hole designs. All of these now start to fashion themselves because we're talking about efficiently moving people in a given location. We actually, while SNAAP is a particular product and service, can be built 112 kilometers, we actually also look at the chokehold areas of efficiency around people in that last 5 miles or in really constricted areas that we'll touch on in this episode. So we also talk about the risks of transportation design, infrastructure, and all of these as they're tied to a political environment and the move of politics or the move of parties or the move of conventional, really, budgets. There's incredible risk in focusing on and sticking with those practices that we know today are not going to carry the weight. They're not going to carry the day. They're not going to help solve or even alleviate the problems that we face. In the United States alone, you cannot have a political cycle, an election cycle, a dialogue around infrastructure that's certainly not couched outside of the political cycle, the election cycle. But we know today, even with the budgets that exist, whether you're a liberal party or a conservative party, we know that the budgets today that are assigned for infrastructure will never solve the problems. In certain city locations, they may say they have $5 million, $28 million annual budget to solve potholes, lighting, traffic lights, curb adjustments, basic safety measures, and just working within a given budget and a given location. Sometimes the budgets are so small compared to the challenges of infrastructure that it's actually 2050, 2070 before any of these could be reasonably resolved or solved or alleviated based on our current budget and certainly based on political cycles. We're always cautioned that between political cycles, geopolitical issues, and add now on top of that inclement weather, the forces of nature that can instantaneously arrest and change the direction, the funding, the capacities of given locations to help alleviate traffic congestion, help solve and plan for the future of urban mobility, and have a focus on people-centric versus on just basically moving cars. So one of the other exciting parts of our discussion is around the difference between mega projects and modular projects. Now, mega projects and great in design, great in architecture, exciting for everybody, the biggest shopping mall in the world, the biggest shopping mall in the United States, massive convention centers, world trade centers, ports of call and harbors, college university campuses, all of these major projects, major venues sometimes begin with a simple step forward. What we invite in the discussion is to actually focus on modular, scalable, efficient, sustainable, and resilient project development. One of the reasons that a personal rapid transit system is so effective is, first of all, it is identifying and joining in the discussion around mega projects, but also, as we've talked in other episodes, around designing into major projects the modular mobility of people. People-centric, how do you move people around, not just adding cars, not adding lanes, but how are people going to move within these given environments? And so the idea of mega projects is great. NEOM in Saudi Arabia, an incredible project. The Line, the new shopping mall in Dubai, incredible design. The two largest shopping malls in the United States. So we have the Mall of America in Minnesota. We also have another one in Maryland, Arundel Mills. These are massive complexes. And every time somebody says this, oh no, I parked my car and then the distance between where I am and where I need to get is really a prohibitive distance. People don't always want to get on a bus. They don't always want to have and can't have the long walks to locations. And so when we talk about mega projects, modular mobility offerings within those mega projects is really an efficient way of looking at and maintaining the focus on a people-centric approach in the redesigning of the future of urban mobility. So we actually want to talk about things that are fixed infrastructure and things that are flexible infrastructure. And when we talk about personal rapid transit system, we actually want to highlight, and so again, you can see it in a journey slide here, is that in all urban centers, the future of mobility is actually focusing on really four areas. There's shared mobility. Those are the ride hailing. It could be a taxi, could be an Uber and a Lyft or Careem. The second category is certainly around electric vehicles and working on our environment, or EREVs, extended range electric vehicles, and the improvement in battery manufacturing. The third category is autonomous. And I can say within the last month, I've seen more and more autonomous vehicles out on the road. And then the last of the four categories is around aerial. And so while that is the context in which we talk about what can be flexible and what are fixed infrastructure, there's always this layer of making sure that people are, designers, urban planners, transport systems, are focused on the ability to be scalable, the ability to be flexible, the ability to be resilient, and the ability to be sustainable. And those are really areas that a personal rapid transit system focuses on. We focus on the ability to not just have the road construction or disruption, to have traditional infrastructure, which are lanes, roads, bridges, infrastructure, concrete, rebar, but something that is lightweight and flexible and scalable. And we often use the expression, an erector set meets a train track, an amusement park meets Mr. Jetson. And all of these ways of taking a fresh look at mobility and urban design is focusing as much on flexible design and scalable design versus conventional fixed infrastructure. We talked about it before. The risk of infrastructure we know is actually not sustainable. The risk of traditional infrastructure is politically inflexible and costly. We also know that fixed is only going to be as much as the ability to move people in fixed start-stop ways of traditional mobility. We know that personal rapid transit provides the opportunity for solar, point A to point B, non-stop, and again, sustainable, flexible, and scalable solutions. And if you think about the four categories we've mentioned already, a personal rapid transit becomes another layer in this closed loop system, really in the urban design, whether it's around transportation hubs, college university campuses, sports arts entertainment venues. All of these places are needing flexible solutions, not fixed infrastructure. My name is Andrew Cary. I'm co-founder, CEO of SNAAP Transportation. We continue to express our interest in investors, projects that are flexible, sustainable, scalable, that are people-centric, that are part of smart city solutions, that are part of sustainable and scalable infrastructure mega projects, that there's a place to fit personal rapid transit system in all of these designs. If you'd like to find out more, certainly you can reach out to us at info@ridesnap, snap is always with 2ways.com. You can follow us across all social media platforms, and we look forward to having you join us as we bring SNAAP Transportation to the global marketplace.